We're back for another live training, and in today's training, we're going to be sharing with you the exact process to start a six-figure social media marketing agency in 2022 with $0 to your name. We're going to be sharing some of the software, some of the systems and processes that are absolutely key that you need to actually use and put in place in order to start a successful agency, but most importantly, how to do it with $0 to your name. That is the number one focus of this training, to essentially show you why we're so passionate here about the social media marketing agency model, because there's absolutely no other business model, financial vehicle on the planet where you can start right away, right, without any capital to your name, right? If you so choose to. So I'm very excited for this. We've got Tal here. What's up?
Hey everybody, good to be here. It's the first live I guess we've done since Miami. So
yeah, we're very, very excited to bring this to the community. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So I think the first place to start with is basically analyzing what a social media marketing agency is composed of, right? And the real reason why you don't need any capital to start with. Okay. And the simple, most basic reason is because at the end of the day, what we're bringing to the marketplace, what we're selling is expertise, is a transformation, is knowledge, right? We live luckily we live in a marketplace where information and transformation is probably the most sought after thing in the market right now, right? And in many cases, it has absolutely no cost of goods, right? You don't have to create any physical product, right? It has absolutely no cost to it, because all we're doing is we're bringing expertise to the table. We're bringing a transformation, a tangible transformation, and we're not selling a specific product, okay? Thus, we don't need to, there's absolutely no need for us to go on Alibaba. There's absolutely no need for us to go on Etsy. There's absolutely no need for us to go on any of these platforms and look for a product. Which is great for a number of reasons. But do you want to add anything to that specifically, Tal?
No, other than, I mean, like you said, it's all about trading expertise. And even if you don't have that expertise of something that you want to offer, there are plenty of people out there that do, that you can actually get to work for you in your agency and actually pay them after you have your first client.
Yeah, it's massively. I mean, and that's a massively important thing, right? Which is the fact that because you're not paying for anything, right? Because you're not paying for anything upfront, there's pretty much limitless upside, right? Which gives you this sense of comfort when you're starting out, right? As an entrepreneur, the worst thing that you can have is I mean, there should always be an element of nerves. There should always be an element of fear, right? That pushes us forward. But there should never be an element of it should never get to a point where it paralyzes you, right? And when you start other businesses where you need a lot of capital upfront to start these businesses, you cannot sleep very well at night, right? You cannot make very rational decisions because emotionally you're very invested, right, into this working out, because there's a lot of downside. If you, for example, don't sell out, or if you don't sell your products, you're left with a lot of stock in your hands, right? And a lot of money, right? When it comes to the agency model, if an offer doesn't work out, we're able to pivot very, very quickly, right? There's nothing that attaches us financially to that specific decision, right? We don't have to do a ton of analysis on what offer we can put into the marketplace. As long as you have a specific sub-niche and you go to that sub-niche with an offer that they want, right? By analyzing some of the things that the top brands are doing in that space. If for whatever reason that doesn't work out, you can pivot very quickly, right? It's infinite. This infinite upside to it, a very, very little downside. The only downside is if you don't sign a client, you just keep going, right? You just keep going until you sign one. If you have the right systems, you can do that very, very quickly, right? Which is one of the things that Tal, you mentioned, right? The fact that normally can you just keep going until you sign one because there's no overhead. You can actually bring on team members and pay them once you actually sign that client. And that gives you massive leverage as well, right? Because you don't have to even pay the people that actually deliver the service, right? You can literally not only, start with zero, right? But out of the money that you make, right? Out of the money that you make from the clients, use that cash flow and use that money to pay your team members that deliver the service. It's almost too hard, it's almost too great to be true, but it's one of those business models that it just works, right? It just makes sense.
Absolutely, man. It's crazy to think that someone can be living on either with their parents or a salary they're literally making from McDonald's, and then build a 6-figure a year business, which is the free time that they have investing basically nothing. What other business model can you do that? If, like you said, if you want to go to Alibaba, start selling a product, you're going to have to invest a lot into that. So it's honestly like one of the most financially sound business models you can get into when you're starting off. It's almost the most responsible.
100%. And I think, yeah, I mean, any other business model, it just doesn't make as much sense. And it's one of the another reason why we, I always preach the whole concept of like, let this be the business model that allows you to then jump onto other business models while still maintaining the cash flow, right? Like for example, all these people that are trying to build e-com businesses, even if you're super passionate about building this product that you have in mind, right? It's just not the most financially sound idea, right? And you should never act out of passion or out of like, this big dream that you have in your head, especially as the first business, right? Make the capital, build up the connections, build up your skill set, and then transition into a product-based business. You can absolutely do that. That is exactly the path that I took, for example. And I learned my lesson, right? I started with an e-com business, and that wasn't, it was all right, but it wasn't great. It didn't change my life, right? And so I needed the type of business model that I could start with $0 to my name, right? That wouldn't require a lot of capital upfront, that would be super cash flow positive, super profitable. And I did so, right? And I picked the agency model. And then with the capital that I built, with the connections that I'd garnered, with the skill sets that I'd basically learned, and the team that I'd built, I went ahead and created product-based brands, right? I went ahead and created my own e-com brands while still actively to this day running my e-com agency. So it's also about understanding that there are different steps to the journey, and starting with a service-based business model always makes a lot of sense, especially as that first business.
Absolutely. And to kind of touch on what you mentioned in the beginning, the different areas of this business to actually get started, I'd say you have the sales and outreach side, which you have to focus on, and then service delivery, of course. Would you add anything else to that, Jaime?
There's this, I mean, there's the service delivery sales. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, those are the two core components, right? On the service delivery front, there's a bunch, you could break that up into obviously building out your A team, right? You could also break that up into productizing your service as much as possible, right? Building, for example, a 7-day lift-off process, a 30-day combustion process, and a 90-day propulsion process. That's an example of what we do. And so productizing as much as possible for someone to just come in and crush it on the media buying side of things. But yeah, as long as, the sales side of things, you have your prospecting systems, you have, your outreach systems dialed in, right? And then on the service side of things, you have a really good team member and then a really good productized service. It means that, you're on your way, right? And not only that, but one thing feeds into the other, right? When you have a really great service ecosystem put together, that's going to give you a lot more confidence on the sales side of things, right? So you're going to be able to sign clients much easier. You can have a much better offer that really resonates with the market. And then when you're signing clients, right, and you're putting them through your service ecosystem, right, because you have your sales processes dialed in, that will give you a lot of feedback, a great feedback loop to optimize your service delivery, right? Another great thing about this business model, the fact that you can literally with zero, right, you can gain so much information. You can you can learn so much about what works, what doesn't, right, and you don't have to invest massive amounts into that learning process.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite softwares that if you're starting off from zero, you want to look into for the sales and outreach side of things. I'm just going to name off a few. One would be for, when it comes to sales and outreach, you're going to have to collect people's emails and contact information. So tools like Snob.io, Hunter.io, Apollo.io, Clearbit Connect, all offer freemium plans where you can just get started, not spending a dime. Use all of those softwares every month. You don't have to spend anything on that end of things. Mm-hmm. That's probably I saw a few questions.
But I think the most basic things though. I think the most basic things as well though is just making sure. I mean, and it's one of the reasons why you can start with zero, or I mean, technically $20 per month, right? It's just getting very simple, just getting an email domain. An email address, a domain. I mean, you can create the logo yourself. So the most basic, absolute essentials are email address, domain. That's pretty much it. I mean, is there anything else to that? Like the
I
very
agree with you there.
basic essentials, the bare bones.
I would argue though that yeah, those things are basic essentials, but if you absolutely didn't have that money, a LinkedIn account goes miles. Like I
Yeah,
know guys that
100%.
run 6-figure a month businesses, they don't even have a website or a logo. So when I hear people
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I got to perfect my website, I got to make my logo perfect," you don't need to do those things at
That's
all.
also true. With an organic profile funnel, you could actually, certainly get started with like literally zero, right? Like all you need is like social media free, right?
Yeah.
Posting content within a specific sub niche that builds up your authority, and you don't have to be a Gary Vee like with a content production team. You absolutely don't have to. It could be just purely written content that costs zero to do. Then what you just have an appointment setting framework where you connect with the right people within that space. You have a really good offer, you get them on a call, and on this call you sign them up for a service that you only pay your contractor once they actually pay you. So it really is quite incredible. But yeah, so to recap, right? We've talked a little bit about some of the benefits, right? Which is the fact that there's literally infinite upside compared to very little downside, which is pretty much the opposite of what most business models are out there are, right? And then we've talked a little bit more about the specific stuff, which is the actual solvers to be used, as well as the way we can actually deliver the service without costing us a dime, right? Because we only pay our contractor once the client pays us. Apart from that, is there anything else that that should be said on this specific topic?
My biggest point, like I brought up a minute ago, is you can build a business without any of these fancy softwares, like we just talked about. So that's the kind of thing I want to drive home to everybody. Is that where there's a will, there's a way, and the tools you have for free at your disposal via just social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all great.
Yeah, and that's the answer to that question. Social media, absolutely free, and most agency owners just have absolutely no clue as to how to use it. They just think that it's another messaging outlet, right? And it's not. I mean, they're literally missing like the two other components, which is your profile and your content. And probably the right, on the messaging side of things, they're probably also doing it incorrectly. So a few questions before we wrap it up, because obviously you guys are exclusive members of the community, so we want to give you that. When outreaching on IG, do you message owners or brands? Always owners, pardon me. Brands are typically managed by a social media person, and that person has absolutely no interest in sharing your contact info, oftentimes with the owner. I've here this automated outreach systems with low input and a lot of output. These systems require capital to implement. Mostly not. A bunch require very, very little capital. These are things that I talk about in my mentorship. So that's kind of like one of our secret juices. So yes. But yeah, I think that would be it for this live training. Drop a massive thumbs up if you've enjoyed this so far. Tal and I take out time out of our very hectic schedules to fit this right into our schedule. So drop a massive thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, with that being said, we will see you on the next one. And so that will be next Tuesday. Every single week, we're going live, not only with this format, where it's Tal and myself, but I'm going to be going live on Wednesdays. And then I'm going to be going live most likely on Fridays as well. So there's a lot of content coming. And Tal is also going live a few days. Yeah, Thursday. So literally pretty much every single day we're going live on this community. What we want to do is literally set the industry. I mean, we're setting the industry straight, I think, providing literally the most value, the most free value we can, and we've seen in the space. And hopefully you guys are in for the ride. If you're not, then you probably should leave this community, because we're going to bombard your feed with a ton of posts and a ton of live trainings, so that you guys can crush it with your agency. But yeah, with that being said, we'll see you on the next one. There'll be a few links down in the description, and the main one being a link to my free training where I show you how to actually create a 10K plus per month agency in 2022. Some of the systems that are working nowadays, not some of the outdated stuff that you see on YouTube, like send out a bunch of emails. No, we're talking about things that actually work in 2022, especially for e-commerce. So if you want to check that out, there's going to be a link for that in the description. And with that being said, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.